Thank you for joining us for this episode. Today is a special edition with the 50th episode of the OI Show.
We're here on our 50th episode, and I can't believe it's gone by this fast, Dave. We've had the opportunity to talk to some unbelievable people. Dave, highlight for me one of the kind of high points for you in our OI series.
Yeah, well, it's been really interesting to look at all the metrics of who's listening to what episodes and what episodes are really kicking it. And I would say as a whole, when we talk about contact lenses and particularly scleral contact lenses, there's a lot of people clicking into that. And practice management tends to be a topic that people are really, really enjoying as well. Some of the episodes that I've really enjoyed, both Stephanie Wu and Elise Kramer, episodes 11 and episode 23, they kind of talked about how to make money in your office. And excuse me, I said that wrong. Episode 17 and episode 23, they talk about scleral lenses, building your practice from scratch and so forth. And those have been really, really good episodes, and they were really enjoyable to do. How about you, buddy? What was some of your favorites?
So it's interesting. So when you talk about scleral lenses, I interviewed Dottie Fidel from Italy, and she's really become kind of a leader in the field. And she really gave her perspective from overseas and how it was similar and yet different in terms of scleral lenses. So yeah, like you said, Dave, that is a hot topic, and specialty lenses continues to be a hot topic. What else, Dave, did you kind of get into these last 50 episodes?
Yeah, well, practice management was kind of interesting. One of the first that we recorded, we actually published it as number 11. I was alluding to this, was with Justin Bazan. And if you've ever met Justin, you know that he's somebody who thinks outside the box. And Justin actually was our third guest on how to have a good patient experience and increase referrals. Justin doesn't have a telephone in his office. He serves beer. And so he kind of talked about that in episode number 3. But then in episode 11, he talked about how to leave your office for a year and still make money. The concept of being a business owner, not just somebody that's operating as the doctor. But that was a really, really interesting episode on practice management. That was a lot of fun.
I listened to that one, David. That was certainly something that until you listen to it, you really don't get an appreciation for how that can happen. Talking about practice management, episode 6 was an interesting one, Dave, because we started getting into patient care here, and Dr. Jeff Walleen talked about myopia management in episode 6. That one was interesting because he's on the cutting edge of everything that's coming down the pipe with how what I'm really referring to as right now, managing myopia progression. How do we do that? How's that different than it was a decade ago, 5 years ago? And really, what's that going to look like in the next 1, 3, 5 years? And Dr. Walleen gave us a really, really unique look at that in episode 6.
Yeah, he did a really good job of giving an overview of myopia management, so much so that when we launched the Myopia podcast, which is a second podcast that the Optometric Insights media is doing, we had him on talking about atropine. And if you haven't got into myopia management, he does a great recap overview in episode 6 with Mila, and a really, really cool one. What else, buddy? What else are some of the episods that you come to mind?
I love what you just said about the practicality, but episode 26, Selena McGee told us about cosmetics and optometry. This is a kind of a whole new aspect or area of our field. She really is doing everything around the eyes in terms of cosmetics, from pharmaceuticals to also procedures. So
I was so jealous that you interviewed her and that I didn't get a chance. She is just a rock star.
Yeah, and it was cool to hear, Dave, all the procedures that she's actually performing, and she's so well versed in every single aspect of it. So, just like everything, you start asking questions about yourself when you're in the presence of somebody that's dealing or talking about cosmetic optometry. So that was episode number 26, and I thought that was a gem of an episode. It just loaded with clinical pearls.
That one is really good to balance with episode 4, which is one that you and I did together on dry eye treatments, because Selena talks about cosmetics and Botox and IPL. And she's one of the real unique practitioners in the country that I think gets the IPL combined with thermal pulsation procedures. and really does a great job with that. So I agree. We kind of have talked about this practice management side of things. Jackie Garlick, she spoke about the future of eye care education and in social media. And it was really interesting to see. If you haven't checked out her Instagram, Jackie Garlick, you would love learning more about what she's doing. And she kind of shared with us. And she became a practice owner during COVID and spoke with that. Another one that became a practice owner during COVID was Katie Morrison. And she was at episode 45, developing a cash pay model. That is one of our most listened to podcasts of all the podcasts that we had. And I think this cash pay model is something we're going to have to explore even more on the podcast. And so many people were interested in her story. She opened cold during COVID and she was profitable in the year of 2020. And that's just blows my mind.
Yeah, Dave, so with all of this, I mean, obviously our podcasts are sources of information, but there's other sources and places for information. One of those places was episode number 40, where we had Dr. Geller on. He was talking about eyes on eye care. So, even when we're talking about all of these different clinical things, even all these practice management things, he's really one that's kind of figured out a way to really sustainably place continuing education online in a very succinct way, and to make it really engaging. And we went into deep details on this in episode 40, and it was just kind of cool. He's a practitioner, so he knows what practitioners really want from that educational experience, and he describes his thought process on that. So it was really cool, and really something that I wanted to kind of include in this special number 50 episode for us in the OI podcast.
Yeah, I want to bring one more. I got one more, Mila, and that was I interviewed Afe Vanderwerp twice for the OI show. Afe is in the Netherlands, and he was one of the first two optometrists in the Netherlands, and he spoke to us a little bit about his history. But I really liked episode 21 with him, where he talked about a revolutionary way of fitting soft contact lenses to be successful. And if you haven't listened to that episode, it will blow your mind about how we quote unquote fit soft contact lenses. Most of us are just guessing and putting lenses on, where Afe and the team at Pacific came up with a way that we can become far more successful with our soft contact lens fitting. And I love that episode. It was really, really groundbreaking.
Well, this is cool, Dave. This was awesome. I'm really glad with what we did with this first 50 episodes, and I'm really looking forward to continuing this and just talking to the giants, to the leaders in the eye care profession, and really kind of sharing and disseminating that information with our colleagues as well too, through the OI show.
Yeah, if you haven't connected with us, either through social or through email, to let us know what you're thinking about the OI show, we would love for you to let us know topics and people and things that you're interested in learning more about and hearing. In episode number 1, we kind of spoke about the purpose of this, and that was that we just kind of realized during COVID that we missed talking to our colleagues, and all of these people we talked to during conferences and meetings, and we just learned so much from them. And I said to Mila, wouldn't it be great if we could share those conversations with people? And that's the evolution of the OI show. And I mean, dude, I have so many more conversations that I want to have than we already have had. We've interviewed people for future episodes already. We've talked to people in Israel about innovations in technology. I spoke to somebody in South Africa even this morning. I spoke to an innovator about some dry eye tools just today. I am so excited to share these episodes with you for the future. We've got a lot of really, really cool things. What are you excited about, buddy?
Yeah, Dave, to just continue and make an extension on that. I always think that the thing that I personally do, and I know I've heard all your interviews, that you really enjoy doing is
you listen to mine. Wow,
begrudgingly I do. But it's this thing where you see these technologies, and whether or not we have access to them or availability to them now, or we will have them, what's that going to look like from a clinical perspective? What's that going to mean to us in the clinics, in our offices when we're caring for our patients? So that's ultimately what we want to do, and we want to tie that in. So really the goal whenever we're talking to these people, regardless of where they are within the profession, we're really looking at ways that we can tie what that innovation is or the topics that they're describing to better care for our patients. So that's what I'm excited. And I'm excited to continue these conversations, Dave. Again, the feedback that we've had so far with the viewers that we've had are just unbelievable. And actually, the viewers were better than we expected. So kudos to those of you that are listening, and tune in, because the next 50, if you like the first 50, are even going to be better.
This next be awesome. Yeah. And if we didn't mention somebody's episode, it wasn't because the episode, wasn't great. I'm just looking back through, talking to Gina Wesley about vision therapy, Luis Sclafani about leadership. I mean, Jeff Sincito about starting his own company. I mean, all of these different people. We're missing so many great episodes. James and Roya, they've got an incredible podcast. Damon Durker, who's just a brilliant guy on dry eye. So many that we're missing. Paul Becky and in The Godfather, Art Epstein. So many cool episodes. We're really grateful, like Mila said, for you joining us and being part of this podcast. One of the best ways that our podcast can grow is through reviews. And if you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star review, we'd love to continue on with this in the future. Make sure to hit the download button so podcasts come to you. So when you want to pick them up, you have them downloaded automatically. And if you're watching us on any of the other social medias, if you could hit the like and subscribe button, that would be fantastic. Mila, it is an honor to get to be with you on the OI Show, and thank you for listening to the OI Show.